There's no doubt that certain stars around the NBA continue stunning the league year after year, but how they became so unguardable and what players have said about their moves you won't believe. With Kyrie Irving showcasing his moves on a nightly basis, freezing defenders, sometimes dropping them and hitting shots a coach would take anyone else out of the game for, he's quickly become one of the most unguardable players in history. Irving said he first realized he had special handles when he was in the 8th grade, growing up in West Orange, New Jersey, after spending years working with his father, Dredrick, who was a hoop star at Boston University and once had a tryout with the Boston Celtics. But Dredrick offered advice to his son Kyrie early on, saying, "Just don't let basketball use you. Use basketball. Never be complacent about where you are. There's always room to grow no matter how successful you are." And Kyrie even talked about how he perfected so many moves growing up that we see today, and he said, "Everybody always asked, what did you do as a kid to get your handle like this? I tell them, I just practice simple moves first, like crossovers, between the legs, behind the back, and then I would work on combinations and isolation situations by myself. Then I would have counters to every move, always be prepared for that. Not only that second move, but that third, fourth, and fifth move just in case. You always want to have those just in case moves in your repertoire. You want to keep the defense guessing. I don't want guys to know this is the move I'm going to do right now just because they watched it on film. If he knows what move I'm going to do, I'm going to have to do about 2-3 counters to it. That's just how I practiced it." Kyrie made himself a homemade ball handling star at St. Patrick High School before he went to Duke and showcased even more skills. While at Duke, Kyrie met Micah Lancaster, who's a well-known trainer with over 30 locations in the United States, and the two of them have been close as Kyrie still attends his workouts to this day. Lancaster's motto is making training harder than the game and over-exaggerating the pressure and the chaos while still keeping it very real to the game, which caught Kyrie's attention and got him hooked instantly. Lancaster also spoke about arguably his best training in Kyrie when he said, "With Kyrie, he was always so talented. So for him, I just wanted to challenge him and be a little bit more ambidextrous with not only his dribble, but with how he protects the ball with his hands, getting his offhand even more active so he could swat away hands like flies while he's handling the basketball. That's always a big focus of mine, and we focused a lot on his feet, just trying to make the translation from the college game to the pro game with a little bit more footwork and focus on some of his moves. As we continue to train, I had to do more and more to try and challenge him. He's a tough person to challenge with his ball handling because he masters something so quickly that I have to go back into my toolbox and try to make him mess it up again. So with him, it's really entertaining to work with him because he just makes me come up with more and more ways to challenge him. He can be comfortable in otherwise very, very uncomfortable situations. I think that's what makes him extremely special." When Kyrie was asked about how he adopted these crazy moves, he said, "A ton of practice, but also having an imagination that is sometimes out of my world. You try things in practice in a solo session, seeing defenders, putting myself in a situation that I could be able to execute in the game. There's creativity that goes into it, meaning to change on the fly with multiple combinations, multiple moves, being able to turn my practice into my work and really just have some fun out there. Being able to keep your defender in an unpredictable state is always a fun thing because you could dribble, shoot, pass. You're able to not only make plays for yourself, but for everyone on the court." Lastly, many players around the league have offered their opinions on Kyrie's handles, including Paul Millsap, who said, "Hands down, Kyrie has the best ball handling skills that we have in our league. The way he reads defenses, the way he reads your feet is unbelievable. His biggest asset is his creativity. He's one of the most creative point guards we have." Another dribbling compliment came from Eric Gordon, who said, "Kyrie has the best handles of all time. Very creative and uses different motions as well." Of course, last but not least, Kyrie's ultimate competitor Steph Curry talked about the variety of tricks that Irving has when he said, "He's able to use both hands and he's shifty and crafty. He changes speeds to keep people off balance. Perhaps the best way to put it into words, he has an uncanny ability to go one way, stop on a dime, right to left to right, whichever, and still be on balance and get by you. It's unpredictable. You just don't know which way he's going." With Kevin Durant having extreme length and athleticism, many people across the league have deemed him as one of, if not the hardest player to defend in history, being the size and length of a center, but also being able to move like a guard. KD's been one of the best scorers in the entire league since he started with the Supersonics, and his skills have shown numerous amounts of improvement and dominance over the years. Other players around the league have said many things about Durant, including how intense and hard it is to guard him. Jimmy Butler had some insight on Kevin Durant, saying, "I think a lot of people would agree with me by saying KD is just tough. Man, KD's just tough. God, like, what do you want him to do? He's athletic. He could shoot. He could dribble. He could post up, shoot the three. I don't know." Jimmy was also explaining how it's not so easy to just post up on him because of a height or weight advantage. Jimmy being 6'8", 230 pounds, matches up with Durant well, but his skills and knowledge for the game makes him harder to defend. Butler also said, "He'll shoot over you whether you're physical or not. Like, there ain't too much that you could do." Back in 2014, LeBron James tweeted that he's been up all night and wanted to do a quick Q&A, which he did, and one of the first questions someone asked him was, "Who's the hardest player to guard?" And LeBron answered none other than Kevin Durant. Durant and LeBron go way back, and they've even been playing each other in the toughest games of their careers for years, facing each other in the finals 3 times, and also throughout regular season matchups. Kobe Bryant scored 33,643 points in his career, and he scored on practically every person that he played against at one point in his career. But in a recent interview with the Court podcast, Kobe was asked who the hardest player to guard was, and instantly, this is what he replied with: Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant. That was the one I retired without being able to figure out how I could stop him. When he first came into the league, he was easy to defend because he couldn't go right and shoot. He used to kind of just shoot across his face, so that was a weakness that he had. Also in the post, he couldn't turn wearing left shoulder. Everything was right shoulder. So that gave me areas I could shut off. Then he started developing it. And now he could pull up left, he could pull up right, he could shoot the long ball, he has runners, left hand, right hand. Before he had a left hand finish at the rim, I could always send him left, force him all the way to the basket. Even with the advantage of his size, he was still uncomfortable finishing with his left, so I could clamp the right hand and force him in a tough situation. But now he developed that, so then I really couldn't figure out, is this a rhythm thing? I'm trying to count the seconds that he takes to make a move. When he does make them, at what time in the game, I couldn't really figure out that rhythm, so I retired not being able to figure him out. Kobe recently credited Tony Allen and Carmelo Anthony as being the hardest players to guard, but recently changed it to Durant after witnessing how far his game's come. Lonzo Ball also recently spoke about guarding Durant his rookie season and how stepping up to the plate was a bad idea when he said, I remember my rookie year, I was in LA, we were playing the Warriors at Staples, that was like 20 seconds left in OT and a tie game. I got ISO'd on KD at the top of the key. He started left and man, he hit me with his cross and he just straight up lost me. There was nothing I could do with it. Then he hit the shot and it was a wrap. Even coaches around the league who don't step a single foot on the court to score or guard anyone have spoke about Durant and his extreme athleticism. Doc Rivers recently spoke about Durant and why he believes he's the hardest player to stop when he said, I've said that for 3 years. I think he's the single most difficult guy to defend, and even when you defend him well, in most cases, he just makes the shot. I guess if you gave George Gervin 5 more inches, he'd be similar. But I don't think we've ever seen a Durant. He's Kevin Durant. With Steph Curry being significantly underrated coming into the NBA while at college, despite being so small out there, he developed a game unlike any player before him, and he's dominated the league, becoming arguably one of the greatest ball handlers and shooters ever. After watching a few of his own highlights, Curry said, it's funny because that wasn't always one of my strengths. And he even explained how he feels he has at least a top 4 ball handle of all time. Curry also recently sat down with Ten Kawakami on Talking Points, where he was in a Q&A about him and his style of play. Tim asked him what the framework of his pregame routine was, and Curry said, like 5 minutes of ball handling, just get warm, get your hands kind of used to the ball. Then after 5 minutes of ball handling, get some flip shots and runners, just work on your touch. Hopefully you start close to the basket, you see the ball going in a lot more. Then it's just working around the arc in 5 spots, catch and shoot, off the dribble, and then shooting threes. Tim then asked if how he does it in game is a direct reflection of his pregame shooting, and Curry quickly said, the Dallas game actually, the only 2 games I scored 50 were 2 of my worst shooting performances pregame. So if you'd ask me walking off the court, I'd still be confident, but I'd say I've got to do something better because I was bricking all over the place. One of them obviously at Madison Square Garden and then at home. Me and Bruce actually kind of stopped mid-workout. I got to the top of the key and we were just looking at each other. What's going on? And then it turns out nothing was wrong. Isaiah Thomas recently spoke about Curry and how he's the hardest player to guard and saying, with Steph, you're always guessing. That's what makes him so dangerous. Steph plays like he's a wide receiver in a football, running an option route on every play. Everything he does depends on what the defender is doing. So when he's coming at you, if you're afraid of the 3, which you should be, and you give him too much space, he'll knock it down. If you play too far up with the 3, he'll take you off the dribble. If he beats you on the first step because you were playing too far up, say goodbye. He's already gone. If you swing back with him, he has the shiftiness and the quicker release to step back and shoot. I don't think he ever goes down the court thinking, I'm pulling up or I'm taking it to the basket. He reads the court so well that he doesn't need a plan. He can just rely on his instincts and react to the defense, and he can do it all, so he takes whatever you give him. With James Harden forming new moves and signature step backs coming into the league, especially over the last few years, he's become the definition of unguardable, as he's doing things even Michael Jordan never did. Harden has been such a dominant scorer the past few years that many players around the league, including one of the top candidates for Defensive Player of the Year, all had something to say about how hard it was to defend him. Klay Thompson was asked in an interview about Harden and just how hard it is to contain him, and Klay replied, it's not very fun to defend him. Bradley Beal also said, anyone defending the beard is in a lose-lose situation. Lakers guard Kyle Kuzma said, you have to guard him differently because of how officiated and how talented a player he is. It's really unorthodox defending him. Paul George, being an excellent player on both ends of the floor himself, has praised James as well, saying, the difficulty is guarding him without fouling. He gets a lot of foul calls. It's hard to bring physicality and be a great defender in this league when he's so good at drawing those fouls. Try to be physical and guard him without fouling, which is hard. The same reason it's tough to guard him is the same reason how you have to guard him. In early 2018, the Rockets were facing off against the Clippers when James Harden hit a nasty step back that'll live on forever against Wesley Johnson, who felt like couldn't get up as James stared him down, and the bench as well as the Rockets fans erupted, and he hit the shot after. Wesley spoke about being crossed by Harden, saying, I was just thinking next play. People oohed and awed, but it's just on to the next play. Stuff like that happens. Somebody gets dunked on, somebody falls down, it's gonna go viral. Social media is undefeated right now. Even LeBron James commented on the legendary crossover saying, it's one of those moves you dream about having. USA Today Sports sat down with Josh Hart and asked him a few questions, one of them being who's the hardest player to guard, and he responded saying, the hardest player to guard is James Harden by far. By far. I guarded LeBron, I guarded KD. James Harden is the most skilled and he's very smart. You should just pray to God that he's not going to get the ball. That's what you should do when you defend him. And lastly, Lonzo Ball spoke about James and why he's one of the hardest to guard when he said, James' step back might be the most unstoppable move in the league. With James, it's either going to be a shot or a foul. He kind of teases you by hanging the ball out there like he's daring you to take it. And as soon as you reach, he either hits you with a step back while you're leaning, or he'll let you get into him and draw the foul. He's savvy like that. The only way to really stop him is to put your chest on him. Because if you give him even a little bit of space and you let him get into a rhythm with his dribble, he'll set up that step back and it's over. But you got to keep your hands back, and that's the toughest part, because when the ball's right there in front of you, your instinct is to go get it. That's what you do with most guys. With James though, you have to change your whole mindset and really be patient. You can't get greedy. It's the same thing when he drives to the rim and hits you with that Euro step. He hangs the ball out there and he's so good at drawing that foul. It'll drive you crazy. I don't know how anyone can stop him. All you can do with James is try to stay up in him. Keep your hands out of there, force him to his right, and then basically just pray he misses. Hey yo fam, I need you to do me a favor, okay? Click on this video on the screen, bro. What are you doing? This video on the screen right here, dude, is like an Oscar-nominated, Grammy-winning, award-winning, amazing video, okay? It's just 10 out of 10 content, bro, okay? You just have to click on it. You just have to. Please just click on it.